ahead of the start there from the outside of the front row, and he's got ahead of the reigning champion as they head down to Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. James Hazelhurst there has slotted into third place, and then Robert Campbell into fourth position, with Finn Groom fifth in the first of the Fiestas, ahead of Ben Bateman in sixth place in the Nova Pool as they head around Druids for the first time.
Yes, as they come down here, we've got Stuart Place and Chris Deere in the 205s. Then James Hazelhurst, he's fantastic. He's managed to jump Robert Campbell, who qualified fourth, which is excellent. And you've got Finn Groom. Finn Groom, a youngster, I think he's only a teenager. He's really come to form. He's got himself into fourth place by the looks of it, but it looks like Robert's going to try and fight back as they come into clear race. Oh, look, we're going to try and go three wide round here. To three wide, no, they're all slotted in behind, but no, so as we come on to get around clear race, we've got Stuart Place, then Chris Deere. We've got about 5 car lengths back to James Hazelhurst, and then Finn Groom, Robert Campbell, and then Ben Bateman, another youngster who's qualified well.
But the 205s to the 4 here, still filling the first 3 places. Stuart Place and Chris Deere, then a gap back to Hazelhurst and Groom and Robert Campbell. It gets very tight between those, well, 4 cars actually, if you include Ben Bateman in the Nova as well. And just behind them, you've got Martin Kayser and Pete Morgan going side by side as well.
Oh, and Ben Bateman and Robert Campbell have had contact, and they're into the gravel trap. Oh, my goodness. It looked like Ben Bateman was trying to open up a tiny gap that was on the inside, and Robert Campbell tried to shut it off.
Yeah, we could see them off into the gravel trap at Druids there, unfortunately. So that has opened up a bit of a gap as well, where those cars were. The top 2 unaffected, of course. They're a long way clear. Stuart Place and Chris Deere in second position in 87 and 1 respectively. And then it is a gap back to Hazelhurst in third. Finn Groom in fourth position, but yep, still going to be yellow flags up there, I think, Paul.
Okay, and as they come across the start-finish line, you've got Stuart Place with a 3-car length over Chris Deere. Coming back, we've got Finn Groom going up the inside of James Hazelhurst across the start-finishing line. Now, but Finn Groom has got the inside line. Now, I've raced to an XR2, so I know they're much better under braking, and he's managed to secure the place, but can James Hazelhurst get the cut back? No, he can't, and then it's followed by Pete Morgan, who had quite a white line. I thought he was going to go off then, but it's always getting very tight up at the hairpin here.
Yes, where there were yellow flags, of course, waving, as we saw in an early race. Pete Morgan has gone up, and we've now got the safety car boards out as well.
So that's a relief.
it is. It gives us time to breathe a little bit. There is the safety car on circuit, so it's picked up the leader, Stuart Place, and behind him is the number 1 car of Chris Deere. So a little bit of respite. Now red flag. So
red flag.
Even more respite.
Okay, I was just trying to see. They might sort it out. I wasn't quite sure if Pete Morgan overtook under yellow flags there, but it looks like he's given the plates back anyway.
And it's because we're now into a situation where we've got a red flag, then we'll go back to... Well, no, it will be a new grid because everyone completed 2 laps, so we'll have to get a new grid for this as well for the restart, which will happen just as soon as possible.
An exciting start, wasn't it?
It was, and I guess the officials have decided it's just going to take too long to clear Ben Bateman's car and Robert Campbell's car, the 2 cars up there at Druids.
That's such a Robert Campbell there has qualified quite well. He's been qualifying quite well, but not done that well in the race until Silverstone a few weeks ago, where he managed to, I think it's 4th he finished. So he's well keen. He's getting to grips with the heavy traffic that we have. Ben Bateman, a youngster, he had a bit of bad luck this season, and it looks like his bit of bad luck's continuing here with that off into the gravel trap. But looking back, I'm looking at Finn Groom there. Finn Groom came out last year, only a youngster, a teenager, and was doing really well. Unfortunately, he had a little accident at Pembury, and it knocked his confidence. And he's certainly showing that it's not a problem this year, Ian.
No, absolutely not. He went well, didn't he, at Silverstone as well. Last time out, we got a 5th and a 7th place there, showing even better pace here this weekend as well for the second meeting of the season. But for people who weren't with us at Silverstone, because we didn't live stream that event, I'll tell you there that it was Stuart Place that took both of the wins. Chris Deere took 2nd in both races, and Lee Scott took 3rd in both races. Lee Scott, who's not here this weekend, though.
No, unfortunately, he's got a family event, which he said was rather selfish of his family to organise it on this weekend. This being his home circuit,
absolutely,
he always goes very well here. So, people who don't know what you've got out here, you've got pre-1992 stock hatch vehicles. We have 1.6 litre 8-valve engines or 1.4 litre multi-valve engines. These are stock cars. We've got a few, got lower suspension we're allowed to do, but the engines are completely standard. And we have minimum weights that all the different makes have to adhere to, and this keeps the racing nice, close and tight.
It does, and it is one of the most cost-effective ways to get into motor racing as well. I mean, 750 Motor Club generally very good for an affordable way into motorsport, but this is as good a way as any.
It is. I mean, look, the cars are now 30 years old. I think the youngest ones are out there now. In the past, are slowly getting more difficult to get, but this is still a very cost-effective way. You can literally pick up a race-ready car from anywhere between £2,000 and £7,000.
And I think one of the attractions of it, certainly to me, is that it does, in my case, hark back to the days of my youth. These were the cars that people drove on the roads when I was
that's right.
growing up.
Yeah, that's right. It's showing our age a bit, but yes, we remember these as teenagers, don't we? Oh, I want a GTR, oh, yes, please. And it's great. I mean, I know that people love to come and see these cars, and it's one of the few championships where you get several different marques vying for the front positions. I mean, it's not demonstrated today. Obviously, it looks like a 205 circuit, although I'm well impressed with Finn Groom and his XR2. That's only a carburetted car. It's the only carburetted car on the grid. And he's showing that he can certainly pedal that car. I mean, Pete Morgan's 2 places back. He's a long-standing racer. He's been, I think it's over 20 years. I think he's been racing that Fiesta of his in.
Yeah, that's right.
But no, it's a very cost-effective way. And we were talking about this the other day. A lot of the children have grown up together in the paddock. This is such a friendly class, and we help each other out. We just like to see cars on the grid. We're a little bit low down than I expected we would be, but we've got 2 or 3 people who couldn't make it. But if you can find me in the pits on the outer paddock, I'll have a chat to you. I've had 3 people talk to me today who are hopefully coming out next year. So I'm 1 in an over and 2 in XR2s. Okay. So I'm well excited that we're still getting people coming in, and like I say, the young blood in Ben Bateman and Finn Groom. It's good to see the youngsters come back into what to them are old cars they wouldn't remember.
No, exactly. But as you say, they've grown up around this racing. Certainly in the case of Finn Groom,
definitely
not so much Ben Bateman, but he's got someone who's had motorsport in the blood as well. I think.
Ben Bateman comes from oval racing.
Yeah.
Yes, he's done mini stocks and. I can't remember the other formula he raced in stadiums, but he's come to us. Quite a few people come from the other grass track. I came from autograss myself. Come from oval racing and come onto the circuits because you get much more track time. And like you say, it's very cost effective, and the 750 Motor Club is fantastic for these cost effective classes.
Yeah, of course. Last season we didn't have you in the commentary box, Paul, because you're out there on the track yourself racing.
That's right. I was pedalling like XR2 myself. Yes, I didn't do too bad, did I, Ian? I got a podium at Penbury, and that was really weird because it was 9 years since my last podium, which was at Penbury as well. So that was nice to show that this old git can still pedal a car. But hopefully can they get back out next year. Unfortunately for you. I won't be able to join you in the commentary box if I'm racing, unless they change the rules where I can have a radio mic in the car.
We could try that.
We could try that. That'll be interesting. I'll be out of breath most of the time. But yes, I'm hopefully going to get back out there next year. I've got to completely... The XR2 that I raced last year, that's been racing for about 10 to 15 years, I believe that's been racing. And the poor old wiring loom didn't want to play anymore at Mallory Park, which is why I went down to... 5th place in the championship. I got 5th in the championship last year, so I was still very pleased with that. But disappointed not to get the 3rd. But yes, I do love the racing. As you know, I'm probably the most passionate driver out there.
Yeah, and you apply that every classic stock hatch race weekend with your role in the paddock. So just tell us a little bit about what you.
What I do is one of my roles is I'm the representative. So I'm sort of an in-between between the club and the scrutineers. Also, I look after the ballast weights. They have Success Ballast. You've got Stuart Place. He's carrying 50 kilograms of ballast from his 2 wins at Silverstone. And Chris Deere is carrying 30 kilograms from his 2 second places at Silverstone. So I monitor that list. Also, we do allow limited modifications. For example, if you've got oversized pistons, there is a minimum weight penalty on that. And some of these cars are running an aftermarket ECU, and there was another penalty for that. So that's one of the lists I look after. I also come and do this occasionally, and I also give out the trophies at the end of the meeting. So it's well busy. When I'm racing, it's very tiring. I'm always the last one to leave if I'm racing, but it is quite busy what I do. I do a lot of running around.
Now, obviously, we've had a bit of drama there at the first start, but any dramas sort of after qualifying this morning? Anyone with problems that they needed to fix?
No, not really. It was relatively good. We've still got the ongoing issues about the rubbing of tyres. These are wider tyres than we used to. These Toyos are a little bit wider than the Yoko 48s we used in previous years. So we've still got rubbing issues to look out for. But no dramas. This is the most dramatic it's been. And I look forward to going to the paddock later and finding out the exact details of what occurred there. I'm sure there may be some difference of opinion.
I expect that there might be. There usually is when anything like that happens. So the cars have been re-gridded, and there's a gap there. Basically, the third row is not there because that, I think, is where we would have had the two cars.
That would have been Ben Bateman and Robert Campbell. So that's what that gap is.
Yeah. So it's a new grid. So it's now Stuart Place on pole and Chris Deere next to him, which is the opposite way round to how they started originally. And we've seen a few races today, Paul, where it's been the drive from the outside of the front row that has made the best of the starts.
Yes, I would say the best place to qualify is actually third.
Yeah.
Because on the front row, you've got quite an incline there. You have quite an incline, which is very difficult to pull away from a standstill. So it's always more favourable to be either on the position 2 or 3, because it's a much better place to launch from. And this will be interesting because that means that Chris Deere is now on the more favoured with drivers anyway. I was speaking to Tim Harvey the other week at Silverstone, and he reckoned it was all psychological, but I'm not so sure. When you're sitting on that grid in position 1, you see the incline, you know you're on an uphill battle.
You name dropper, you.
Well, you know how it is.
Talking to Tim Harvey at Silverstone, I don't know.
Steve Soper disagreed. That's two.
Right, so I don't think we're too far away from getting this race back underway because the circuit's clear now up at Druids. We've got the grid reformed. We know we've not got a green flag lap to worry about, so I think very soon we'll be back into racing. I can't see any notice of how long the race distance is going to be. I'm going to guess 10 minutes, something like that, because we'd had a couple of laps before the...
Can't quite see on the board there,
yeah. So anyway, we'll see how long we get. It's going to be a full restart, of course, back to a new grid, which has Stuart Place and Brake 7 on pole position, number 1 Chris Deere next to him, then James Hazelhurst and Finn Groom on the second row of the grid. We are heading towards the start of the race then.
Well, the 5-second board has just gone out, Ian.
Okay, so we'll wait for the red lights to come on, which they do now. I'll wait for them to go out. Away they go then, and it's Stuart Place with the best of the starts from pole position.
Oh no, Finn Groom's had a terrible start. It's Pete Morgan and Martin Kayser have got up the inside of him, but Finn Groom's gone round the outside of Pete Morgan. What a marvellous move.
So it's Stuart Place that's got the lead then. Chris Deere second, then Hazelhurst. Martin Kayser's got off the line well. He's up to 4th place. Then Groom is 5th. Pete Morgan 6th as they go round Druids for the first time.
Yes, Martin Kayser has always struggled with the start sometimes, but he definitely got it on that restart and finds himself in 4th position. But you've got the 2 XR2s side by side as they come onto the Cooper Straight, but Finn Groom has got the better of the old-timer Pete Morgan.
He has for the moment, so youth triumphing over experience at the moment. Along the Cooper Straight they go into Surtees and McLaren. So we've picked up where we left off really with Stuart Place in the lead in the number 87 car, double winner from Silverstone. He won one of the 2 races here last year as well, did Stuart Place. Pete Morgan won the other last year. And they're up to the line at the end of the first lap. Place from Deere and Hazelhurst third.
Yes, Stuart Place managed to get off the line really well. Like I said, he's carrying 50 kilograms of success ballast, which is quite a weight to bear, but he definitely got it dug in. No wheel spin, just pulled straight off, and Chris Deere could not answer that. But again, like you say, we've got Stuart Place, Chris Deere, James Hazelhurst. Then we come back to Martin Kayser in his XR2i. But he's being hassled a lot from the youngster Finn Groom, who has got to worry about Pete Morgan right in his boot. Pete Morgan's coming for the inside, and he's going to try and get the run. But no, Finn Groom. Oh, there's contact, but Finn Groom's gone sideways. Oh, my goodness, he's gone right sideways. That was a little touch there, which just sent him round, Ian.
Yeah, he went spinning around. He got pointed back in the right direction. And Stuart Place has been off the road, meanwhile, up at McLaren. He's back on again. but he was all over the grass there. That's lost him a bit of time, I should think. So Chris Deere now only about 2 car lengths behind him as they come up towards the end of lap number 2 of this race. So it's 87, Stuart Place the leader. Number 1, the reigning champion, Chris Deere, is second. In third place, it's number 12, James Hazelhurst. In fourth place, it's number 88, Martin Kayser. Pete Morgan now up to fifth, number 2, after that brush with Finn Groom.
Boy, he got away with that one, didn't he, Stuart Place? I think he just got it under braking. You're braking quite hard for the Clearways corner. Just got a little bit unbalanced there, but it has allowed Chris Deere to see him in his sights. He's definitely lining them up now because it's down to about 2 or 3 car lengths. Got about 4 car lengths back to James Hazelhurst. What a marvellous result that would be for him. Looking further back, Martin Kayser has now got Pete Morgan. I say Pete Morgan's been racing for a long time, but so has Martin. So that's going to be a very interesting battle as they come up towards. It's always scary as you're lining yourself really perfect for Clearways because the camber is all wrong. The car is just trying to go outside all the time. But no, Stuart Place has managed to get it. But James Hazelhurst keeps inching his way towards Chris Deere.
He does indeed. So the first 3 covered by only by about a second as they come towards the end of lap 3 of the race. These 3 Peugeot 205s, that's a 615 I suppose. Then you've got a gap back to Martin Kayser, who's got Pete Morgan.
Oh,
right
Pete Morgan's going to try and go for the inside. He's trying to go brake really late, but no, that's not going to work. He might have shown his book a bit too early there because I'm sure that would have paid off a bit later in the race, Ian.
It might well have done. Meanwhile, Place continues to lead with all that 50 kilograms of success ballast. Pete Morgan's actually just done the best lap of the race, a 59.03, about 7/10 off of Lee Scott's lap record.
Oh, Pete Morgan's going to the inside of Martin Kayser as they enter the Cooper Straight. Is Martin going to get the cut back? The XR2i has got that little bit more grunt on a straight line, but it looks like Pete Morgan's got it well and truly covered.
Yeah, he's through, up into 4th place now. He's about 2 or 3 seconds behind the race leaders, though, so he's got a bit of work to do to get on terms with them. Finn Groom, by the way, 14th after that incident with Pete Morgan a couple of laps ago. 4 minutes of the race have gone, and we have got Stuart Place over the line now to complete his 4th lap, beg your pardon.
Oh, I was just looking at James Hazelhurst under braking there for Paddock Hill. We're entering that about 110 miles an hour before we have to brake. He got a real wiggle on, but he managed to save it. That's why he's dropped a little bit off the back of Chris Deere. But looking further back, we see Pete Morgan is now about 2 car lengths in front of Martin, but he gets it under braking. Martin won't sit back and take that. Looking further back in the other cars, and it looks like we've got Jason Wood up there. What a good result it would be for him. And also, I think that's Darren Bassingthwaite. That's an excellent place he's found himself in front of Andy Philpotts, who again has been doing it for well over 20 years. So Darren is going to be well happy. Oh, a bit of contact there. I'm not quite sure who that was with, whether that was Rick Groom and Pete Osgerby, perhaps.
Yeah, Osgerby's the one in the black and white Nova who's back on the circuit now. The 2 Grooms were together as well. Finn, I think, getting back ahead of his father, Rick, possibly. But you were saying there, Darren Bassingthwaite going very well in 7th overall, the 47-year-old operations director from Norwich. But leaders over the line again to complete 5 laps, half a second between Place and Deere, half a second between Deere and Hazelhurst. About 4 seconds behind them is Pete Morgan. That
was really interesting. As we enter the start-finish straight, James Hazelhurst really caught up back on the other 2, but they seem to get a better exit around the Paddock Hill bend. And got a little bit of a gap, but now James is coming back on him. This could be quite tense because James has he did win at Silverstone, I think it was a couple of seasons ago, and he definitely would like to see another podium. But like you say, I think Pete Morgan, he's got too much to do. I don't think he's going to catch those 3 fast 205s.
Yeah, it seems to be 205 circuit today, doesn't it? Although lap record is to Lee Scott in an XR2i, so not always the case that it's been a circuit that favours the 205s. There is Pete Morgan, number 2, whose son Ryan won the championship a couple of years ago.
As we come back to start another lap, we've got Stuart Place. Chris Deere still to about 2 or 3 car lengths. Goes a bit later on the brakes, takes a slightly different line, but Stuart hasn't managed to secure that. Okay, James Hazelhurst there, still about 4 or 5 car lengths behind, but it's looking quite evenly spaced towards it. It's unusual because we normally have battles all across the field. The battle at the moment seems to be between the back 4 that are just entered in Paddock Hill now.
Yeah, you've got Finn Groom, Terry Roughton, Rick Groom and William Humphries. Oh no, actually it's Pete Osgerby in there as well, isn't he?
Yes.
Finn Groom's escaped a bit from that group now.
Oh, Chris Deere has now got right on the back of Stuart Place there. He is all over the back of him. Now, Chris Deere is only carrying 20 kilograms left. That shouldn't make too much difference between the two cars, but they could hold up. As you can see, James Hazelhurst now is getting closer and closer and closer to them. This could get really tense. I'm not quite sure how many laps we've got. Just over two minutes of the race left, so we've got at least another 2, maybe even 3 laps of this as they all come back, all in a little line there. Stuart Place, Chris Deere and James Hazelhurst.
Yeah, Finn Groom as well, up to 10th place. He's done the second fastest lap of the race now, behind Pete Morgan, who's now 59.09, lapping faster, or pretty much as fast as the leaders as well.
He's definitely a young man we're going to watch. I mean, the race tomorrow, I think it's about 3 o'clock tomorrow, we're racing tomorrow, and I'm just looking further back, and Terry Routledge's got the inside of Rick Groom on the start-finish straight. Nice move there. But yes, he's definitely made his way back up after that quite a scary spin, but he's definitely getting back on the bike.
Certainly is. Meanwhile, the 3 leaders are still locked together. We could just see that on our screens now. We've switched back to the cars going through for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th.
Oh, Chris
places.
is all over the back of Stuart as they come into clearways. Now Stuart's going to go for the defensive inside line, and Chris is going to try and get the best power, and they're literally bumper to bumper. But Stuart's got that little bit of a gap. Has he opened enough gap, or is Chris Deere going to have the draft? I think Chris Deere has got the draft. He's really staying right behind him. I don't think he's going to be able to brake on this lap. So this could get really tense towards the last 2 laps. We're now down to less than a minute of the race to go. So I'm not quite sure if this will be the last lap or not.
I didn't see a last lap board, so we'll keep our fingers crossed that we'll get at least one more lap. After this, Chris Deere then has just done the best lap of the race, 58.97, but Stuart Place at 58.99, so they're really still pushing each other along, even at this late stage of the race now. Place, who won both of the races at Silverstone on the national circuit 3 weeks ago. Deere, who was second. Deere won the championship last year in a big battle with Pete Morgan that was only resolved in the final round at Mallory Park.
Yeah, I can just see they're getting the last lap board ready, and these guys are going to see it. I mean, James is going to want to pounce now because he knows that these front 2, like I say, they've finished 1-2 so far this season if it carries on like this, but James will want to get on to a higher place on the podium. He might just sit back, I don't know, but he's going to sit back and see if these 2 fall over. But they'll be spaced again. They've got a little bit of space there, 2 or 3 car lengths between Stuart Place, Chris Deere and James Hazelhurst. And looking back, it's like almost just straight back to Pete Morgan, then Martin Kayser, and then of course comes Jason Wood. So Jason doing very well as we go to Paddock Hill Bend for the last time. They're still under quite a nice steady gap there, Ian. I don't think there's going to be a change now.
I think you're probably right. Hazelhurst, by the way, was a non-finisher in the second of the races at Silverstone, so we'll be particularly pleased, hopefully, to get a podium finish here. Through the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend they come.
Oh, and again, Chris Deere goes round there so well. He's got back in contention with Stuart Place. This is always nervous as a driver when you're leading. You really don't want to make mistakes, but Stuart Place is going for the defensive inside line. He's going to make Chris Deere go right round the outside, and he's almost got an overlap on the outside, but Stuart's going to have the better run coming out of the corner, and there he goes. He starts to slowly pull away that gap of about 1 or 2 cars as they come to the start-finish straight for the last time. It is going to be yet another win for Stuart Place, second Chris Deere, and James Hazelhurst, a fantastic 3rd place.
Yeah, a very good win for that in the Everything Motorsport Classic Stock Cats Championship for Stuart Place then. 4th over the line is number 2, Pete Morgan. 5th is Martin Kayser, so the 2 Fiestas, 5th and 6th. Jason Wood, very good result for him in the Nova. 6th in number 41. 7th, 18, Darren Bassingthwaighte in the Peugeot. 8th to number 91, Finn Groom. A great comeback from him after his contact with Pete Morgan earlier in the race. 9th, number 6, Andy Philpotts, and 10th was number 48, Neil Dusman. But a really tight race at the front of the field, that, Paul.
Oh, yes, I was just looking at the lap times there. Only 2 people, like Stuart Place and Chris Deere, got under the 59 seconds. Actually, that's about right, because last year in our second race, I was the only driver to get below 59. So that is a very good result. These tyres aren't as grip as the Yokies, but the drivers out there, they are proving otherwise, Ian.
Let's have a look at the result then now on screen. And it was a win then for number 87, Stuart Place. From number 1, Chris Deere in second position, 39 hundredths between them. 3rd place went the way of number 12, James Hazelhurst. 4th to number 2, Pete Morgan. 5th to number 88, Martin Kayser. Then 6th was 41, Jason Wood. In 7th place, number 18, Darren Bassingthwaighte. 8th to number 91, Finn Groom. 9th to the very experienced number 6, Andy Philpotts, and running out the top 10 was 48, Neil Dudman. Head of 5, Terry Routledge, 30, William Humphries, 58, Pete Oskerby, and 92, Rick Groom. And just a few drivers on the next screen. Stuart Place, obviously the winner, but the other two finishers, Alan Dooley and Terry Deary. Obviously, we lost Robert Campbell and we lost Ben Bateman in the original start. And you can see the top three drivers already stationary down there in the pit lane. So we'll head down now to Josh Barrett to hear from them.
So we're down here after the first classic Stock Catch race of the weekend, backed by Everything Motorsports for 2023. Stuart Place, the race winner in that top three four Peugeot 205s, as Ian and Paul were describing. And we're just let Stuart get out of the car, and then we will grab a word with our winner. Well done, Stuart. Pretty close stuff between you and Chris in that one.
Yeah, fairly close. Nice and close, that's how it should be.
Clearways, you look really quick pretty much on every lap, and that helped you up towards paddock?
Yeah, it did, yeah. I lack a little bit in the going into Paddock Hill, but I managed, once I kept it rolling, it was all right through there, and then I could gap him through like Graham Hill, but I just couldn't carry enough of what I wanted him to certain places, but a win's a win.
Obviously lots of success ballast in the car, but you were still lapping quickly at the end of the race, the tyres sort of staying in good health?
Yeah, the tyres were going away. There's a lot of ballast in the car and it is hard work, but to be honest with you, it is what it is, and we try to set the car up for it. So yeah, pretty pleased. We'll see what tomorrow holds.
More ballast.
More ballast.
Well done, Stuart. A great start to the season for Stuart Place. Second went the way of Chris Deere. Chris, you had the view of this back of this Peugeot for quite a lot there, didn't you?
Seen a lot, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
A few goes to try and get through, it didn't quite work out.
Yeah, just didn't quite have the grip or the pace or whatever to get up alongside and make a move stick, and you know, I'm all for keeping it clean, fair racing, so I wasn't going to do anything daft. Second place in the championship points, that's all you need, isn't it?
And that's how it went last year, wasn't it? Especially in the first half of the year, lots of point scoring, which came good at the end.
Absolutely, keep the car rolling, keep it running well, and all good. And James just sat on my tail the whole way round, so all credit to him. The absolute alignment setup working for him as well, hopefully.
Let's have a word and see how it was. James, great to see you back here on the podium. And car going well?
Yeah, it seems to be going well. It's been going well for the last year or so, and no issues really. So yeah, not going to make many changes. Just keep as is.
And right there with Chris, did you find a few opportunities to try and find a way past?
Nah, I was barely holding on to them, to be honest with you. Just happy to sort of sit back and watch them, try and pick up any pieces if they, have a little moment. So, but yeah, it was all good.
Obviously 3 Peugeots at the front. Do you think this track suits the Peugeot, or is that just how this race has gone?
I think so, yeah. I think we qualified maybe 4, 5 Peugeots on the front. So yeah, seems to suit us anyway.
And now looking forward to more tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no idea where I start, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, good luck for that one.
Cheers,
so there's our top 3 from the Classic Stock Catch, Stuart Place, Chris Deere and James Hazelhurst. Up next, we go back to where we began with the PBS Brakes Hot Hatch Championship.